Tuning into creator energy can happen in the blink of an eye. All it takes is the thought, I am. When in this thought space, references to dirt, dirty, soil, or soiled, rather than being pejorative, take on a different aspect. In creator thought space, while digging in the dirt to plant or clear for planting, one can see and feel the diverse qualities of dirt: moist or dry, absorptive, depleted, dense, rich with nutrients, worms, texture, its color, its ability to yield to tender roots making home there. With these awarenesses, dirt is no longer just dirt. At its best, and with our caring amendments, dirt becomes soil, earth. It then becomes a dynamic, complex, living, life-giving bed, teeming with an assortment of living organisms, organic matter, minerals, gases, and moisture, nutrients of all kinds, ready and willing to nurture. Conscious of what is needed to enhance dirt to the rich soil that is earth, thus replicating the balance earth herself provides in all of nature, we engage with the God-given elements with the wonder and reverence they justly deserve. Then, along with the thing observed, is our consciousness ignited with these simple yet complex, ubiquitous gifts we are showered with any moment we choose. Let it be so, and so it is.
Hello, my name is Dr. Eric Dover, and I'm a member of Oregon State Journal Assembly. This is a message for Oregon sheriffs, the 36 across our state. Attention all Oregon sheriffs. Over the past 3 years, Oregon State Journal Assembly, the OSJA, the only Article 3 court on Oregon, has found Governors Kate Brown and Tina Kotek, Secretary of State Tobias Reed, the Oregon Legislature, Senators Ron Wyden and Jeff Merkley, and Representative Suzanne Bonamici guilty of having broken their oaths, and therefore they have no honor and cannot hold a position of trust. The Office of Secretary of State received our subpoena for caveat to will probate in open court scheduled for June 21st, 2025 at 10:30 a.m. on the plaza across from the Oregon State House. They have acknowledged receipt by signing our U.S. Postal Green Card. All of our instruments are signed, sealed, stamped, and witnessed with proof of service. Most are published at orsja.org, 3CTV, YouTube, and Brighteon. The judiciary of every state, 33, territory, 17, and the United States Washington District of Columbia, Incorporated, are de facto. In 1906, the Illinois State Bar sent our emissaries to flip all the de jure governments in the United States of America into de facto governance controlled by the bar, BAR, and that's the British Accreditation Registry, or similar name. They flipped Oregon November 8, 1910. The Oregon Statewide Journal Assembly flipped it back from de facto to de jure November of 2022. De facto is illegal or illegitimate. It is there and it must be dealt with. We will have a constitutional Republican Article 4, Section 4 form of government. That started with confronting the state of Oregon, AKA all capital letters state of Oregon, lawfully as all the prompts of are in our Oregon Constitution circa 1859 and the United States of America's Constitution circa 1859 with Bovier's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, 2nd volume, 1856. Oregon's Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, is a social compact for each state and territory. Quote, natural rights inherent in the people, we declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness. And they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. With President Lincoln came civil war with resulting martial law, Lieber Code, and dissolution of Congress. Then in 1866, the Supreme Court of the United States made a decision called Ex parte Milligan, which broke martial law wherever there was an Article 3, one Supreme Court claiming original jurisdiction, Article 7 on the land and soil, with Amendment 7 Civilian Common Law Court of Record. The de facto has had 115 years of bar attorney rule on Oregon. That deceit was exposed and acquiesced to on Oregon in 2018. However, our 36 Oregon sheriffs are without their proper bona fides, and that's in ORS 206, DPSST, county HR and recorder with oath and bond, ability to the laws of nature and of nature's God included. We audited nine of the 36 sheriffs. They all failed. What we have are sheriffs and deputy sheriffs and others that have not read their constitutions. They have not taken proper oaths to serve in their positions as protectors of the Constitution. How can that be? How can it be that the sheriffs need an attorney to figure out what they should do? In the sheriff's extremely important position, they must be capable of reading and comprehending the federal and state constitutions. What we have are sheriffs, deputy sheriffs, and others that have not read their constitutions. In a constitutional Republican form of government, we have people, not persons. People are us, flesh, blood, and bone. Persons are fictitious entities of the corporate world. The United States of Washington District of Columbia is an incorporated government service company that has usurped power. It is made up from de facto state and territory representatives to the House and Senate. Article 4, Section 4 guarantees that all states are republics. In Oregon, the people on the state of Oregon have the only Article 1, Section 1 provisional government in the United States. Oregon Statewide General Assembly has 7 years of working this out step by step, each one taking an acquiesce to before we move on. We must do it for ourselves. We encourage all the sheriffs to pay attention to this message and to start following the Constitution, learn the Constitution, and sign an oath of office as outlined above. Have a good evening.
Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide General Assembly. This is not going away. Our sheriffs and others are in denial. De facto does not assist in complying with ORS 206, the requirements for sheriff, and all the rest of the requirements for the office of sheriff. Sheriffs exist for our peace, safety, and happiness, Article 1, Section 1. Many of us in our provisional Article 3, our provisional Article 1, Section 1, jure, government on Oregon, have been at this for years, decades even. Our director, Charlie White, since the city of Portland did not fluoridate the water. Milt and the Constitution Party are still with us. Rocky, the provost of the Oregon National Guard, says there are several assemblies. Hooray! We will assist them in forming a proper social compact and following all the prompts. Many groups focus on a short term, such as remove Kate Brown from office, COVID and the church, children issues across the board, unalienable rights, militia, guns, speech, travel, assembly, and so it goes. We are focused on returning to a constitutional Republican form of government this year, 2025. Facts. From those published at www.orsja.org and several other places, there is an Oregon statewide grand jury that has 9 times since 2018 brought forth true bills to our trial juries and presentments to the 38 prosecutors. Our trial juries, without the aid of the de facto incorporated governance, have met 11 times as Article 3, one Supreme Court claiming original jurisdiction, Article 7, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Court of Record, having implemented Ex parte Milligan, providing verdicts with no appeal in fact. Read Amendment 7. Judges try cases less than $20. Courts judge the law. Juries decide the facts and provide verdicts with no appeal in fact in suits in common law. The Oregon State Bar, with its black-robed attorneys acting as judges without a proper oath to the proper constitution with the laws of nature and nature's God included, with the rest of those in Article 7 amended and its affiliates and supporters, such as our Oregon State Sheriff's Association and the individual members. They have provided fraud upon the people since November 8, 1910. For sure, not all of them were aware of this. However, we have proof of service to our sheriffs several times with receipt of this information, and it is documented since 2017. The powers that should not be, sheriffs, will not be able to uphold their image. Not when it becomes common knowledge you do not occupy the office of sheriff lawfully. We will be happy to provide the proof of your bogus status. It is all simulating legal, and it is not. It is USC 242 and the ORS governing color of law is fraud. You must be able to support your claim with facts and evidence, not a business card for, from, of a justice of the peace, a collection agent. Fact. There are no lawful legitimate occupants of the office of sheriff on Oregon. Published at www.orsja.org, 3 cable TV channels weekly, YouTube and Brighteon. You folks need to self-correct. Or, if I am, or our Oregon statewide General Assembly is wrong, lying, simulating illegal action, in fraud, I challenge you to rebut our facts. That has not happened since 2017, before we even named ourselves. There is no lawful executive, legislative, judiciary, and other on Oregon. These de facto entities have acquiesced and defaulted many times since 2018. United States Department of Justice, United States Marshal Service, United States Federal Bureau of Investigation, United States Department of Homeland Security, United States General Services Administration, United States Marine Corps, United States Secretary of State, United States Federal District Court, Portland, State of Oregon, aka all caps State of Oregon, 2 governors, 2 U.S. senators, 1 House rep, 89 state legislators, 1 Secretary of State, 36 sheriffs, 38 prosecutors, the Oregon State Police and the Oregon National Guard, and others. Not one rebuttal. We hold Article 3, Article 7, all caps from Oregon's Constitution, Amendment 7, original jurisdiction, open court in public in several areas around the state in many ubications. we declare our stand, and you have no rebuttal. When you do not self-correct, you will be removed from office. That is not our objective. Optimum is proper lawful sheriffs and deputies, followed by the rest of the de facto self-correcting, then actually complying with our Oregon Constitution circa 1859, the United States of America's Constitution circa 1859, with Bouvier's 6th edition 1856 for proper definitions. Returning to a constitutional Republican form of government, Article 4, Section 4, this year, 2025, is our goal. Without our sheriffs, we will be implementing civil arrests. Not our first choice. However, what our actions are now was not our first choice either. It might be a good idea to look up the Battle of Athens, Tennessee, 1947. They even made a movie about it. I called them and talked to them years ago. They're totally de facto just like everybody else now. I might assume everyone has read the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America, 1776. 1777, our Confederation and Perpetual Union's Articles, the United States of America's Constitution circa 1859, Oregon's Constitution circa 1859, and of course the Proper Law Dictionary, Bouvier's 6th edition 1856. When you are no longer ignorant, you will be required to self-correct, to be with your proper bona fides, or we will make sure the counties comply with ORS 206. Then we can move on with a jure, not de facto form of government. And I yield. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide General Assembly. This is for sheriffs and Leos, that thin blue line. Are you aware of the Accardi Doctrine? ACCARDI? The Accardi Doctrine is a principle of administrative law that holds government agencies must strictly adhere to their own regulations and procedures, named after the Supreme Court case United States ex rel Accardi versus Shaughnessy, 347 U.S. 260, 1954. The doctrine provides that when an agency fails to follow its own established rules or procedures, its actions are generally considered invalid. This principle ensures fairness in administrative proceedings and is grounded in fundamental notions of due process and fair play. The doctrine applies not only to formal regulations published in the Federal Register, but also to internal procedures and guidelines that establish procedural and substantive restraints on agency actions, even if the guidelines are not formally published. The Second Circuit has ruled the Accardi Doctrine applies. The era of he who can be deceived, let him, is de facto. That is not Amendment 7. In suits in common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law. Article 7 amended removes original jurisdiction by eliminating choice and knowledge, by implementing fraud upon the people. Well executed fraud, brought to us by the fettered counsel of the Oregon State Bar Association. You know, the ones on Salem, a guild or FARA member. FARA stands for Foreign Agent Registration Act. They take an oath to the bar. They're not us any longer. The one that is required by color of law to represent you. No other counsel is permitted. No first friend. It's not common law. That is a due process violation of an unalienable right made by a group that offers or offered Esquire or JD as a title, the Oregon State Bar. Esquire is a title of nobility for the British Accreditation Registry. How does that work in a one-class constitutional republic? It does not, but it works in the U.S. Army Labor Code, martial law, updated as recently as 2018, just before COVID, when the beneficial form of martial law masquerading as a democratic republic turned malevolent. Oregon and Delaware are the two states without a fort or military base or presence. Several of us, no, many of us, damn near all of us, that have a sense of balance that we actually prefer with a preponderance of evidence. We like correct over wrong, enough light over insufficient or excessive light, good over evil, real over fake, an absence of fraud, honest over dishonest. A full belly is better than a hungry belly. You realize misprision of, pardon me, you realize misprision of felony morphs into accessory after the fact. We cannot do this alone. You must comprehend what your honor entails. No one can do that for you. You do it for you. If you are so pragmatic that you think you can violate our unalienable rights to serve the best interests of someone or something else, you've broken your oath. Quit, move on. We are no longer deceived. Our sheriffs and the color of law Salem oligarchy are part of the problem. Misprision of felony. You cannot even keep your own color of law. The de facto ORS 206, DPSST, county HR, and recorder oath and bondability to the laws of nature and nature's God included. It's mindset. And most of the mindset is since 1947 with MK Ultra or its successors or assigns. I was a U.S. citizen and did not even know what that meant, only what I thought it meant. He who can be deceived, let him. When the person you are addressing about the Constitution that they took an oath to says, I need to talk to legal, they need someone to tell them what to think. This much all of you are responsible for. 1. The Oregon Constitution circa 1859. 2. The United States of America's Constitution circa 1859. 3. Bouvier's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, 2 volume, 1856. How can you expect to be a sheriff, a deputy, a bailiff, jailer, police with an oath when you need counsel to know what your oath means? You really need a different job. When something clicks, then the change happened. Mine clicked and the resolved frauds into some clarity to me when I was 75. The U.S. Navy tested me and found I was really smart 67 years ago. They had me fooled for 75 years. It is hard when everything you have learned and you knew turns out to be a lie. Thinking about this leads to rabbit holes and bells getting rung that you can't unring, visions seen that are in total recall. It's not opinion when dealing with law. We know what law is and how it is defined. Courts judge law. Juries decide facts. Judges deal with issues of less than $20 in suits in common law. Article 3, Article 7, Oregon, Amendment 7, Civilian Common Law Court of Record. It took several years for www.orsja.org to figure this out and to implement it step by step. The same bunch that acquiesced and defaulted without rebuttal for 7 years. The de facto cannot stand with the jure and probate in open court. They are so bogus that you run the gulags for the for the Salem oligarchy. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. And then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up. And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, to shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, shot him 3 more times.